Okay, Rabotai, Baruch Hashem, we have the opportunity to get back into Hilchot Shabbat. We're middle of Hilchot of Hadlakat Nerot. We are on page 114 in the Sfarim in front of you, in the Tzurba Rabbana, volume 16. We are on page 114. Okay, lighting candles away from home. So right before we get into this, let's just quickly review some of what we learned last week. I wanted to show you guys this. I don't know if I showed you this before. Turn to page 132. At the end of every shiur in your books, there's actually a review of everything that we learned in short step. Okay? So we did two sections last week, the top two, on page 132. So just to review it for us. Who is obligated to light? Masechet Shabbat said that we had a Mishnah there in B'mem Adlikin that said the man has to remind his household to light. And number two, we saw that the Midrash Rabbah, Be'eshit Rabbah, tells us that since Chava took away from the soul of Adam HaRishon, right, and we know that the soul is a light, so therefore the woman has the mitzvah to light the candle, to bring back more light into the world from what she extinguished. The Rambam Shulchan Aruch said that women are usually taking care of the house, so that's another reason why they're doing it, because they're the ones who make sure everything in the house is what is needed. The Bach, Mishnah Brura, said a man has no right to take away the mitzvah from his wife. He can't come home and say, this Friday I'm lighting the candles. He can't do that. It belongs to the wife. What we did see was the Kabbalists talk about the big zechut for the man to prepare the candles. Right? The man wants to do anything, his job is to prepare the candles. The second section that we already saw in this shiur is, do girls light at home? So we saw the Shmirat Shabbat Kilchata told me girls, meaning not married, they're still living at home with their parents. So Shmirat Shabbat said that some girls have a minhag. And he was also saying that they can make a bracha, right? They have not kavanat for their mother's bracha. They light it in a different room. Okay. Rav Simcha Bonim Kohen says the Lubavitcher Rebbe instituted every girl older than 3 should light, and it gives a girl and a woman it gives them an opportunity to participate. And then Chacham Ovadia, who said that Sfaradim do not have this custom, and those who wish to do so cannot recite a bracha. I actually saw later in the Yalkut Yosef, he writes that if the girl wants to light at home, then the mother makes a bracha, she answers amen, and then the girl should go to another room and light. Like she lights in the dining room and then she lights in the living room with no bracha. Then she doesn't turn and they go somewhere else. Again, it's not the minhag really by Sfaradim to do. And the Pnini Halacha ends with this idea as well, saying that most Ashkenazim also do not have this custom. So when I was growing up, and the yeshiva that I went to, most Ashkenazim, most of my friends' sisters were not lighting at home either. So it wasn't something that was done. Okay, now let's go back to where we're actually holding on page 114. Everyone, all right. So now we're back on page 114. Oh man. And what we're dealing with now, it's called a man is not home. Okay? Or let's say we're going to get into this topic as well. The boy goes to yeshiva and he's boarding there. He's in a dormitory. He's not coming home. What's the story with his candle lighting? Okay? So first we're going to start off, someone's a guest somewhere. Let's start off. Masechet Shabbat, Chav Gimel Amud Aleph, in source number 10 on page 114. There is no Gemara that talks about if the man is not home for Shabbat. But this is a Gemara that if someone is not home for the Chanukah candles. Okay? So, Rav Sheshet says, a guest is obligated in lighting Chanukah light. Okay? So Rav Zera says in the beginning, I was studying in the yeshiva, I would participate by giving prutot. I would give some coins together with the host. But after I married, now that I got married, now I do not give money anymore because my wife is lighting for me in the house. Okay, so when it comes to Hanukkah, says Rav Sheshet, when I was a bachur, when I wasn't married, I gave some money for the host where I was staying at to pay for the money, so I'm part of the lighting. But once I got married, my wife lights at home, and that covers for me. That's what he said about Ner Chanukah. Can we compare this to the Nerot of Shabbat? So here is the Raviyah. The Raviyah says in source 11, V'karev adovar be'inai. This is very close to me. That it gets to my eyes. I mean, it's comparable. That mishtatef, that he could combine himself with coins, the Ner Shel Shabbat, kimol the Ner Shel Chanukah, im lo madlikin alav in his house. So says the Ravaya, if the man doesn't have a wife, or the wife is not lighting at home, and he's as a guest somewhere, he can give a couple of coins to the host, and that's how he's going to be part of the lighting of the Shabbat lights. Okay? Now there's another source, and this is the Mordechai. The Mordechai, this is a Rishon, he brings in the name of the Maharam of Rothenburg, an earlier Rishon. And the Maharam of Rothenburg said as follows. Look in source number 12 on page 115. The Mordechai, he says that this Bachrim ha'hoilchim lilmoid chutz lebeitam, these Bachrim, okay, Bachrim usually mean young men who are not married. We're going to see. A lot of the Achronim say that's not what he meant. But let's just see what he writes right now. That these young men who go to learn Torah outside the house, tzrichen, they have to, lahadlik ner shel Shabbat, b'chadram v'levarech alav. In their rooms where they're staying, they have to light the candles and make a bracha on it. So the Mordechai says, it's not enough just to give coins. If they have a room, it should make a difference if they have a room or not. But if you have a room, they should really light and make a bracha. Mishum dahadlakat ner b'Shabbat chova mishum shalom bayit shelo yichshel be'etz or be'even. Because what's the whole point of lighting the candles? One of the reasons we said was you shouldn't fall and trip, right? If I'm staying in my room, I have my own room and it's dark in there, I can fall and trip. It's very nice that someone's lighting for me at home, but I'm not at home. I'm in this room. I need light in this room. Therefore, I have to say a bracha. But of mishu etzel ishto, ein tzarich la'arich b'chedro v'lavarech alav. L'fi she'ishto mevarech alav b'shvilo. He says, but if one is together with his wife, right, and she lights in one room, and he wants to put lights in another room, then he doesn't make another bracha. Okay, because the wife already made the bracha, and it goes on the whole house. But if he's not home, right, and he has his own room, so then he should light his own candles.
Even though his wife can do the candle in home.
Right. It seems so. Again, he uses a lashon of bachurim, but is it bachurim actually, or it's lav davke bachurim means that? Well, take a look at the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch brings both the Mordechai and the Ravaya. And take a look at Shulchan Aruch writes, Bachum ha'ochlem l'chutz bebeitam tzrichim lahadlik ner Shabbat b'chadra v'levarech alav. Av mishu etzel ishto, ein tzarich lahadlik b'chadro v'levarech alav, l'fi she'ishto v'levarech b'shvilo. Oirech, right? A guest she'ein lo cheder miyuchad. If a guest doesn't have his private room, the gam ein madlikin alav bebeito, and they're not lighting for him at home, tarich l'ishtatef b'pruta. Then he has to give coins to be a part of it. So you see what Shulchan Aruch did? Shulchan Aruch is breaking down, at least in my eyes, I see three cases here. I see the first case. Let's say it's four cases, actually. First case, a guy's learning the yeshiva. A guy has his own room. And he's outside the house. He has to make his own bracha. He has his own room. If he's in his own room, but his wife is there in another room, then she makes the bracha. He doesn't. His light is okay. If he's a guest and he doesn't have his own room, right? And Vigam and they're not lighting for him at home, then he has to give a couple of coins. But if he are lighting for him at home, maybe he doesn't have to light at all, and he doesn't have to give coins either. Let's.
He doesn't have where he goes.
He doesn't have his own room.
What about his has room, but partner is somebody?
It's not his own room.
No, not Shabbaton.
Right, you're with a few other people.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's take a look. Okay, now the Mishnah Berurah says, this is what we want to go back to the Mordechai. He says, when it says Bachurim, it says the Bachrim, Hainu sheyesh lahem nashim. That means they have wives. All right, it doesn't mean that they're actually young bachelors. It means they're actually married. El shahoilchen chutz lebeitam. They go outside their house. And even though the wife is lighting at home, he's not potter with his brachas with his wife's bracha. He has his own private room, so it has to be a private room, okay? And no one else can come in and out. If he's not married, says Mishnah Berurah, there's nothing to talk about. If the man's not married, meaning his mother's the only one lighting at home, then of course he has to light on himself wherever he is, whenever he is, right? But here the issue is his wife is lighting. The wife is shekikufa, so it's wife. No, so he says there, even if he has a wife, if he has a separate room, he has to light. Okay, we're going to break everything down into small pieces afterwards. It's the final. Well, let's just continue right now. The Bir Halacha. He writes, when a person has many rooms, he must light in all the rooms in order to ensure peace in the home, right? Therefore, when he is at home with his wife and she sets a bracha in one place, it's as if she is reciting the bracha, and the room where he lights are automatically covered by the bracha. How does this work? The chemoli inyan b'dikas chametz. It's just like b'dikas chametz, right? When I say b'dikas chametz, I say b'dikas chametz bracha in one room. He checks all the rooms, right? But this is not the case if he's not home. If he's not home, all right? But if he's not home and he has a private room, how can he be yotze through his wife's bracha if he's not in the same house? Meaning, the bracha goes on the whole home. The bracha doesn't leave the house. Okay? When you make a bracha, Shabbat, that's in that house. You can't be miles away and say, oh, my wife made bracha, it's good. If you have a private room, you're going to have to make your own bracha. Okay, now, outside of the Tzurba for the moment, we're going to come here to the Sephardic Sefer Chayei Olamim, and in this Sefer, he sums up these halachot. So let's take a look over here together, Rabotai. We're on page 84 in the Laws of Shabbat. He writes as follows, page 85. One who is not home for Shabbat, okay? And this is either way. Either the man is not home, he went somewhere, or the woman is not home and the man is home. Okay? And is staying in a place that he has his own private room, must light Shabbat candles where he's staying for Shabbat, even though his or her spouse will be lighting in his home. So that's the halakha. You got it? Halakha number one is if the spouse is not home, he's in a different place, and he has his own private room, he lights candles in that room with a bracha. That's number one. Now, if he does not have his own private room and is staying in a home who will be lighting candles, okay? So he doesn't have a private room. 34 people in his room sleeping with him. Different people. People coming in, people coming out, no control in the room. It's not your private room. But he's in a house where there are lighting Shabbat candles. The host, the woman, the owner of the house is lighting candles. In addition to his wife lighting at his home, then he's yotzeh his thing. He doesn't have to do anything. Okay? What? What do you mean?
This candle is moilevei. And 1 minute ago you said...
No. They're lighting in his house. In the house that he's staying, they're lighting. They're lighting in the dining room. He doesn't have a private room. And his wife is lighting at home. So somehow that combination works. Okay? Now, what about the Shalom Bayit in his room? Right? What about the Shalom Bayit in his room? Meaning that his room, he should be able to see where he's walking. So they're going to say that he needs to have some light in his room. Here, I read you this one. One relying the candles that's lit by the host, provided that he'll have some light in his room, such as an electric light coming from the hallway or a night light. Okay? So you have, that's second halakha. Second halakha was, I don't have a private room. My host is lighting. There's some light in my room. I don't have to make a bracha. I'm yotzeh this way. Okay?
By my wife.
What?
By my wife.
Your wife is lighting at home with the bracha.
That's when it makes me yirechava.
Yeah.
If I don't have a private room in a guest.
Right.
Okay.
And the host is lighting. Okay. Your wife is lighting at home. And you don't have a private place. That's it.
You don't pay some peruta?
Oh, you could do that. You could do that. Hold on. Another case. However, if there is a time difference between where he is staying and his home, right? Let's say he went somewhere else. 3 or 4 hours difference. Right? The host is starting. They didn't start yet. The whole time is off. So then he writes, he should give some coins and to have a portion in the lighting. So says Chacham Mordechai, correct. He says you should give some frutas, some coins, so you're part of the lighting. Okay? So it comes out from this laws of Shabbat and based on what we saw, and this, by the way, is also in the Shulchan Aruch. This is what we saw. Shulchan Aruch said, you're not home, right? And you have your own private room, you make a bracha. Okay? If you're a guest and you don't have a private room, and the gam ein madlikin labaveito, and they're not lighting for you at home, then you give a couple of coins. But if they're lighting for you at home and you don't have your private room and there's some light around and someone's lighting, then technically you don't have to do anything. You are okay. Okay. Now, that is that sum. Okay. Now the Shmirat Shabbat kehilchata. Yeah.
If you are not married.
Yeah.
And you
Good.
don't have a wife.
Right. That's the next section. For yeshiva boys, girls in the seminary, what do? So we're going to get into there. Let's just take a look. So Shmirat Shabbat kehilchata does what I just did. Breaks down the cases. We brought down the Sephardic cases. But just look at page 117. 3 lines from that top paragraph, 3 lines from the bottom in the Hebrew, Vadai. And in English, however, right? Certainly, if there's any fire hazard through leaving burning candles unsupervised, it is better not to light candles in these rooms. And this not lighting will be considered a mitzvah. Okay? So you have to always be very careful. It's very nice that you want to do a mitzvah, but the mitzvah has to be done properly. And if the mitzvah is going to be dangerous, then that's not considered doing a mitzvah. That's not considered a mitzvah. It's a sakana. So you have to pay attention.
You're going to be opposite.
Right? It's a sakana. It's not a true mitzvah. It's not going to work out. Okay, fine. Now, so here comes another case. In source number 17, on page 117. If a married woman is hospitalized, okay, and she's not home, and the husband is lighting at home, does she make a bracha where she's staying? She's in one room, right? She's in the hospital. She's in the hospital room. And the husband is home, and the husband is lighting at home. Does she light with the bracha where she is? What did we say about the husband? If he has his own private room, right? Then he should light with the bracha, right? If they're not home. Does the same apply to a woman? So he writes, Haminahu wherever she's going to eat, that's where she makes the bracha, right? Meaning that she's going to make the bracha even in the hospital, even though her husband is making the bracha at home, okay? In the Yalkut Yosef English edition, outside of this Tzurba for a moment, I'm just going to read to you what he says.
It's for mitzvah.
It seems to be that since it's her mitzvah, she should always be lighting it. But in the same time, she has her private room, so to speak, right? Is the hospital room really a private room? I don't know. Depends which hospital you go to, actually. All right, if you go to Long Island hospitals, when they give birth, after they give birth, they have their own private room. They actually have a couch there they can pull out, and the husband can stay in the room. They don't kick them out. But if you go to Forest Hills Hospital, it's like 4 or 3 ladies and 2 ladies, 3 ladies in the room in the postpartum, and and the man can't stay there past security. You're gonna come kick him out. So then it's not a private room. But let's just take a look over here. What his son Yitzchak writes over here about.
But nurses always have access to the room.
True. That is true. But it seems like the lady, like you said, has this mitzvah, and therefore we're going to let her always to make her bracha wherever she is. So let's just take a look. If the lady of the home is away for Shabbat, she had just given birth and is still in the hospital, her husband must kindle lights in honor of Shabbat in their home. So he has to light in the home. That's not a question. He's home. She's not. Lights need to be in the home. He lights it. He lights the bracha. Okay. What else does he say here? Hold on. Lacha 24. Here we are. Okay, here. 21. Okay, 23 I meant. I don't know what I did here. Hold on. Woman who gave birth and remains in a hospital, she must recite the blessing and kindle Shabbat lights in her room if she plans to eat the Friday evening meal in her room. This is so even if her husband kindles lights in their home. So you have it as follows. When it comes to the woman, right, she lights with the bracha where she eats Friday night. Where she eats Friday night, she's going to light with the bracha as long as no one else lit there, right? If someone else lit there, then she can't make a bracha there. But she's going to light with the bracha.
If two ladies.
Right, 2 Jewish ladies, only one of them can make the bracha.
We read before.
Yeah. Only one of them can make a bracha.
So they make a coin?
They flip a coin. I don't know. They figure it out. Whoever's faster. whoever is faster.
Okay, one more case.
Yeah.
Okay. The husband
Yeah.
had an interview or some business trip.
Okay.
Tuesday.
Okay.
He left.
Mm-hmm.
His wife was pregnant and get birth Thursday.
Okay.
And he's supposed to come back after Shabbat. He's in California. She is in the hospital. He's not home.
Right.
He's not home.
He's not home. She's not home.
She's not home. She's in the hospital. She's supposed to do if she has a private. If it goes lady, no. What happened?
She can light. No problem. She's the only one lighting there.
But share the room with someone.
Okay. So what?
Some other
I'm the only one person making bracha there. It's fine.
Okay, but okay. So and husband is not home.
It's not in town.
Yeah, not in town.
Okay.
And he didn't know that's emergency.
Okay.
Okay. So what's gonna be in the other house that he's living or?
They have kids in the house.
Yes. Let's say he has a kid.
Okay.
Or let's say this is the first baby. Or let's say her mother-in-law could go and light a candle as a shaliach.
Okay, so we're talking about this. We're talking about as follows. Mordechai's question is as follows. The husband's not home. He has his own private room. He's going to make a bracha. The wife is not home. She's in the hospital. She has her own room. She's the only one lighting, so she'll make a bracha. What about the house? So if no one's home, then there's no need for a bracha at home. No one's using the light. You have to use the light, right? You have to use the light. So if you can't use no one's at home for the light, there's no candlelighting at home. That's it. If there are going to be people at home, right? So then, if there's someone at home who's going to be using it, and someone who is mechuyev mitzvot, then they should light it with the bracha.
And still, if the husband in the other room, wherever he is.
Here he brings halacha. If one's parents are not home for Shabbat, then the eldest female child who is over the age of bat mitzvah should light the candles at home for the household. If she's under bat mitzvah, then a boy who's over bar mitzvah takes precedence and should light on the behalf of the household. So it has to be a gadol who lights it with the bracha if there are children at home.
Or maybe the in-laws' parents.
If they're going to stay there, yeah. If they're going to stay there, then they can make the bracha, yeah.
To take care of the children.
Yeah, sure. They can make the bracha there, yeah.
So, but the husband on the other side of the world...
He has to make his own bracha if he has his own private room.
Have a private room.
Is he staying by a host who lights?
The house and then pay some peruta.
Yeah. Perfect. There you got it. All right, we squared it all the way. All right, now we've been talking about a person who has a wife. Now let's talk about boys and girls who go to yeshiva, go to seminary. They're dorming. They don't have a spouse yet, and they're not at home. What goes on with them? So take a look at Chazon Ovadia, page 118, on source 19. Cham Ovadia writes, he writes, the Bachrim Penuim she'ein lehem isha shenimtzaim b'yeshivot v'yesh lam cheder nefrad shekol echad yesh bo shnayim v'shosha bachurim. Each room has 2 or 3 boys, right? They're dorming together. Even though someone lit candles in the dining room where they're going to eat, chova is an obligation on the bachrim. They have their private room. Lahadlik neirot Shabbat bebracha. That they have to light candles in their room with a bracha. Ve'echem in the bachurim haninseim b'cheder echad yivarech v'yadlik. He should make a bracha and he should light. Ve'yichaven liftor et chaverav v'chein hem yitkavenu l'tzayidei chovotam ve'yadliku b'bracha v'toronot echad echad b'chol erev Shabbat. And then each one should take turns lighting every erev Shabbat. It says Cham Ovadia, Sephardic boys in yeshiva, and they're going to light candles in the dining room. The staff, the family, whoever is there, they have their own private room. These 3 boys have their own room. That's their private room, right? Then they should take turns every Shabbat. One of them should make the bracha, light the candles. The other 2 should be mechaven, and then they take turns every Shabbat. And a different boy lights the candles. Okay, that's what Cham Ovadia writes in Chazon Ovadia. Let's take 1 second outside of the Tzurba. We'll look inside over here in the Yalkut Yosef. Actually, in the laws of Shabbat, let's continue over here. Oh, so he goes like this.
One more.
He says, wait. Preferably, each student in each dorm should light his own candles, right? Otherwise, all the students may fulfill the obligation with 1 set of candles. If this is also not possible, he writes, let's say the yeshiva doesn't let, right? It's like we saw before, if it's dangerous. Every boy's going to light in his room. First of all, a lot of times the dorm rooms are very small. A lot of times everything is crammed all over the place. And there might be some flammable things in the room. They're not watching it well. Kids come in, they open the door, bang, everything can fall over the place. Anyone who's been in a dorm or anything like that, you know what it's like. So it's very dangerous to light in the dorm room. So what happens now? If this is also not possible, one may rely on the candles lit in the yeshiva's dining room, provided that he has some light in his room, right? That's the whole point of the light in his room, so shalom bayit, that he can see where he's walking. So such as a lecture light coming from the hallway or a night light. Okay?
I was given a sort of different psak when I was in yeshiva.
What'd you do?
Basically, I would come to the dorm. They didn't let us light fire.
Okay.
I would make a bracha on the light switch, or the Rav told me if it's LED, just do it without a bracha and flick it on.
Right.
And that's what I would do. I would put on the hallway light and then make the bracha, it was incandescent, I think. I would make the bracha, flick on the hallway.
In the hallway light. And then in the hallway.
Flick on the bathroom light, whatever lights I needed, basically.
Uh-huh.
I would flick on it. I would make the bracha on the hallway light. And then what ended up happening, because they were lighting, the yeshiva guy, one guy was appointed for the yeshiva to light in the dining room. So
right.
I said you have to light where you're sleeping. That's why he said you should light there.
Right. But the question is, so you're saying the holy light gives you benefit into your room?
Yeah.
Okay. I can hear it.
The door a little open,
Right. Right. The electric does work as long as it's incandescent. Better that it's battery operated versus electric current, but the Cham Ovadia does allow for the electric current also.
My issue was only when they used to do mincha. Sometimes the yeshiva, the students would be early. They would do early Shabbos. So mincha was before Plag, so I couldn't even light before I could
Right.
do mincha. So I'd have to run out after mincha by Kabbalat Shabbat and run to the dorm for 5 minutes.
5 minute in run mode.
Walk, so
Okay.
Run,
Okay.
do it, and then run back to make Kabbalat Shabbat to finish off with them and then continue our week.
Why 2 minutes
Hold on
long?
again.
1 5 minute go out and 2 minutes long.
No, it's just it was the Metzias, to run back and forth. That was actually what it was. But yeah, But he writes over here that technically, if you couldn't do that, then you could be, let's say, with the lighting in the dining room, as long as you have light going into the room.
Dormitory, the bedroom is, for example, is second floor.
What?
In dormitory,
Yeah.
that you have to light in the bedrooms.
Yeah.
For the hana.
Yeah.
So all the bedrooms are second floor. The dining room usually in the basement or the first floor.
Right.
So
Right.
half the light from-
But what did we see? What did we see? The real place to light is where you're eating food.
Yeah.
Right now, if you can't light where you're eating food, then the lighting is where you're sleeping, so you can see what you're doing in your room. So since you can't make a bracha in the dining room because someone else already made the bracha, so then light in your room.
No, but you can say that you have to, for shalom bayit or for to see in front of you, you have to have your room light.
But yes, but that's not usually where you make the bracha on. Usually you make the bracha in the cheder ochel, where you eat, in the dining room. But here you can't, so therefore make the bracha in the room, where you also need to have light, yes.
But this, the light, you want to sleep, the light on top of your all night is on.
So that's why he put it in the hallway, he put it in the night light, he put something small. You don't put big lights.
I had an issue in Israel.
Yeah.
We were there for Sukkot, and the problem is we're going to meals that were long walks, like 45-minute walk. We traveled everywhere there for Yom Tov. So we had an issue because we're leaving before plot. We're going to go early
Right.
daytime to go for a meal somewhere, way before candlelighting time. I mean, it was for the second day of Yom Tov, so we couldn't even light before plot.
Right, because you have to wait for the second day, right?
And the shaila was, can we rely on the balabait that's lighting, or should we light there with them maybe, or do we have to light where we're sleeping? We're gonna walk back late at night. We're gonna come back home at 12 o'clock. So we were diving with Yitzchak Yosef Shul down in the morning.
So you asked him?
I asked him.
And you?
So he's like, light in your place. So I'm like, I just wanted to confirm that he said that. He's like, well, we're gonna get back at 12. He's like, I told you, light in your place.
Right.
And then I'm like to him, but we didn't prepare an esh from before the Chag. He's like, for Israelis, it's over tonight. So just get
Yeah, something. Yeah. So what would be the reasoning? Why is that? Why is that the psak? Because when it comes to second Yom Tov, right? So you can light on Yom Tov anytime you can light the fire, as long as you're going to light the candle and you're going to have some hana at it from the room, from walking around, seeing whatever it is, then you can light it anytime. And remember, a lot of times people do that on Simchas Torah, right? Simchat Torah, we dance away. Now most time the ladies come ready to the shul early. So when they come home, right? So they're lighting it then. Now what happens is a lot of times actually people forget to light on Simchas Torah night. By the time they come home, they start the Suda, they forget to light, and then the next day, Rabbi, I forgot to light. What do I do? Well, you do nothing then. But you don't have, and there's no knas if you miss the Yom Tov light. Right? It's only a Shabbos light. But yeah, very good. Okay, let's see about girls. So seminary girls here in the Yalkut Yosef. He writes.
If you tell them in the room and you for the one time you go to the room and come back is enough.
Seems like that. Seems like you have some enough from that light. That's enough. Okay. Okay. What about girls? Girls are in seminary. They're not home. All right. So again, whatever your mother does at home, if for the child it doesn't work, right? For the husband, we already saw that. They must recite the blessing of candle lights and Anam Shabbat in the dormitory rooms. If there are several girls share one room, each one should light a candle, and they should take turns. If they're unable to kindle the lights in their bedrooms, right? The Halal doesn't let. The administration doesn't let. It's dangerous. So then they all go to the dormitory. They all go to the common dining hall, go to the dining room, and each girl wishes to kindle her own lights. They should choose one girl to recite the bracha out loud. Everyone answers, Amen, and everyone goes ahead and lights. That's the Sephardic way of doing it. Okay, so each girl can light, but only one person can say the bracha. Okay, so this is what Piskei Teshuvot gets in here as well, about what are the boys and the girls doing there in yeshivot. They're in the dormitories. If you want to take a look at 120, page 120, the Piskei Teshuvot in summary, and some stuff we already saw in the previous section when the husband wasn't home, the wife wasn't home. So giving money to participate in the lighting in the dining room, that's a possibility also. Okay, so if you're paying money to the whoever's lighting in the dining room, that can also help. They should light candles with the bracha in the dormitory. if possible. They should rely on lighting the dining room even without giving money as if they are part of the family. Oh, so this is a huge kula. Saying that since we're in the yeshiva, we're part of the yeshiva family. And therefore, we don't even have to give money because we're part of the yeshiva family. And you make sure there's some light in the room, and zehu, you are okay. All right. The next section.
Question.
Yeah.
If a husband and wife got divorced,
Yeah.
what's gonna be?
What do you want to be? What's the case?
They don't have any more connection, so the husband, the guy, turn it on for himself, his house, and the wife.
100%. Once you give a get, there's a complete separation. They have nothing to do with each other anymore.
Okay, but the husband, the guy used to, when he was not married, he used to rely on mothers because he lives with the mother, no?
Okay.
And the
So if he's not home, if he has a mother, he's not married, right? And he's not home, he has to light.
He married and got divorced.
Back to his mom.
I'm gone.
I say he moved back to his mom.
Maybe one case back to.
I don't know. That's a good question.
One case back to his parents,
Mm-hmm.
or another case he got.
If he's by himself, for sure he has to light himself. That's not a question. If he has his own place, for sure he has to light himself.
Is must.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
He's a guy.
He's what?
He's a man.
So what?
Man,
It's not. The mitzvah's on both man and woman.
It's on the house. The mitzvah's on the house. Each house has to be lit for Shabbat.
It's just we give it to the woman to bring more light into the world, but it's on the mitzvah the same. It's on the man. If the woman's not home, he lights. It's always like that. Now he's living by himself. He's always going to light. You're telling me if he's divorced and he comes back home to his mom, eating at his father's table, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know what to say.
Maybe he gets a separate room in that apartment with the parents, so he does it in that room.
One who's not married, living on his own, is obligated to light Shabbat candles with the bracha. But he doesn't say anything if he comes back. I mean, what would be the difference? What would be the difference? Let's think this way. What would be the difference? He's a bacher who's 30 years old, never got married, and still living at his parents' house. Then for sure his mother still lights for him. And now he's 32 and he was married and he came back. What's the difference, Lala? What would be?
What is the difference? That the wife get married before get married?
No,
he didn't have a cover. Since he get married and divorced, supposed to have a cover at the head.
Yeah, but what about him? What about him?
Okay.
He's saying something changed about his.
I hear you, but I don't know. I'm not sure. It's a good question, but I don't know. I don't think he would have to light.
Okay.
Let's think about it this way. The girl goes back home to her mom.
Supposed to do it.
She's supposed to light?
She separate from from the mother because she's already lady. She's already not.
But it doesn't matter if she's lady or not.
Under the parents.
I don't think it depends on that. I don't think. I hear your reasoning. It just sounds weak.
If the guy was never married and he moved out of his parents' home, he would do it.
He would have to light.
Yeah.
Yes, because he's living on his own.
He's confusing the fact that once you get
Yeah.
married and you go back, you know.
I can give you proof.
Yeah.
But the man that got divorced,
Yeah.
he lives with the parents.
Yeah.
If he has a separate room, he does it in his room. Like he's in an apartment, like he's in a hotel, or he's in.
I would think it depends on how the setup is. Meaning, is he just living there, room and board and everything's given, or is he paying? Is he doing something like that? What is his status in that house?
That's
Right. I mean, maybe that would play in
let's say
effect.
he helped for the rent since he got married and divorced. Now he's different from the son of to be by parents.
Okay, Tzurba and these other topics.
Always Mordechai make law.
No, it's a good question. It is a good question, but again, his line is one who's not married, is living on his own, is obligated to light. Right, that we know. If he's living on his own, he has to light. He's back by his parents' household. I would assume that he doesn't have to light unless there's some sort of setup, right?
If he's having his own entry, like his own basement.
Right,
his own basement,
right.
his own
If he's on his own, he's his own thing.
Otherwise, the chayr, you're right.
I would say that he's part of the house now again. So that's what it is.
Again.
All right, fine. Well, you know what? Let's leave it at a Tzurba and we'll get back to it. All right, let's move on to one last topic before we move on to the parsha. The question is as follows. All right, and we'll do it outside, most of it. The question is as follows. Shkia came, right? And you're supposed to light before Shkia, right? Most calendars put it 18 minutes before. We'll talk why that is later on. But 18 minutes before you're supposed to light, Shkia, you can't do anything anymore. But we know there's something that's called Benish Mashot, which means is twilight. It's not night, not day. It's in between. Right? The 13.5 seasonal minutes after Shkia.
13 and a half minutes.
Right. Now, can I ask a guy to light the candles for me at that time? Okay?
Never.
You say never?
Well, let's see. I'm saying, what's the issue? You didn't light before.
I didn't light. I forgot to light. Like I was busy.
Torah mitzvah.
It's a Tzarech mitzvah.
It's by Benish Mashot, we know that you could do their abundance Tzarech mitzvah.
So, can you light it or not? Can you ask a guy to do it or not?
Oh, yes.
So, the Magen Avraham writes a case about when they did weddings in Erev Shabbat and they forgot to light. He says you can instruct a non-Jew to light after the wedding, meaning when it's already after Shkia, and then the woman can say the bracha. He's quoting from the Maharash.
Wow, that's a huge.
That's from Maharash. She can make the bracha as well. You can ask the guy to light, and he can make the bracha. Now, right? If one forgot to make the bracha until it got dark, one rely on the view of the Maharash. Okay, now Rabbi Kiva Eger questions: how can a guy be a shliach for lighting candles? No, so what will be the answer to that? And this is, by the way, a beautiful way to look at many sugyas that you learn in Gemara and Halacha. Is this next source on page 122, the Machane Ephraim?
So what is the halacha?
So the Machane Ephraim, let me explain it to you. Okay, let me explain it to you. The question is, and it's many times going to come out, we're going to learn through halachas and through Gemara. Question is as follows: how do you view this? Do you view it that you need someone to light the candles, and that means you need a shliach to light, or do you need the candles to be lit? I don't care who lights it, right? Is it I need the result of candles that are lit, and my whole thing is to look at the result?
Yes.
Or do I need to also look at the action?
Playing with balls.
The main,
What?
What you are telling is playing with balls.
No. The question is the mitzvah a resultant mitzvah?
There's an afkamin. There's a difference here. A Mordechai.
Explain it.
The difference is, do you need to light it, or let's say I can put the timer to turn on the lights before Shabbat? That's good enough as well.
That's different.
No.
That's the
You
same
make-
thing.
you-
That's the same thing. Do I need the result to be there, or do I need to do the action to make it happen?
Action.
Is it a resultant mitzvah
Action.
or not?
You with the beracha.
Um,
when it's beracha, you supposed to do action.
So here in
You say
the Machane Ephraim, he writes as follows. He says, the person constructed a gate, a ma'akah. All right, he has to make a gate. Right? Now, it's on him to make a ma'akah. But let's say his friend did it to him. Shalom midato. There's a mitzvah in the Torah. If you have a roof that's flat, and you have to walk, and you have to make a gate, right? And this is Natan's gate, Natan's house. I come and I build a gate for him. I don't tell him. Does he have to now break the gate, put a new gate, because he wasn't the one who did it? He never told me to do it. I wasn't a shliach. Or is the mitzvah to have a gate? He has a gate now. He's good. Which one is it? Ah, very good.
But there's a difference. though.
Why?
Because he did it without you knowing it. Here you're telling the non-Jew to do it.
But the same idea. Is it the result, or is there shlichut?
So that's why all the buildings
Okay.
they made
Now
it
he
on
does
their
say,
own. So
he
all
does
the
say,
buildings they made it,
he
it's
does
only
say
buildings does it.
that even though the result is there, you can't make a bracha on it. Okay, the bracha is for the action. The mitzvah is the result, but the bracha is on the action. So let's take outside of the Tzurba for a moment, and we're going to look at the Yalkut Yosef on page 173 over here. Let's see. Chabad, you're right. Let's see what he writes here. Okay, he says as follows. First thing he writes. What is this? Number 40. Okay. Hadavar bar ima shivcha adlika etaneh lechot Shabbos ein misha levarcha adlaka. Right? V'av k'shishal chavero is a mitzvah b'shlichosa ein mashalech yachol levarcha al samach ma'aseh hashliach. You cannot make a bracha if someone else did it for you. So if someone else lit it for you, you can't make a bracha. What about the resultant? Is the mitzvah still there? So let's take a look at page 177 in halacha 51. Here we go. If it happened, listen to this. Let me read it. If it happened that a woman failed to kindle the Shabbat lights, she may ask a guy to light them if it's still Berish Mashot, 13.5 seasonal minutes. He can ask her. She can ask. Anyone can ask the goyat or goy to light it. She may instruct the non-Jew to kindle as many lights as she normally kindles. Light me 30. I always light 30. She can light all 30, right? But if I light normally 30 candles every Erev Shabbat, I can tell the goyat to light all 30 for me, right? Not just the 2. But she may not. But you cannot say the bracha on that because there's no bracha for shlichut. You can't make a bracha if someone else is doing it. You have to do the action. One may even instruct the non-Jew to kindle lights even if one has already accepted the Shabbat. And even if the whole Kehillah accepts the Shabbat. We're going to learn how, if the whole Kehillah takes it, you cannot be one that separates. Right? So everybody already accepted it. Okay? Still, one may instruct a non-Jew to kindle Shabbat lights during the period of Benish Mashot because it's a resultant mitzvah. Okay? Now, this is very important because people are going to start grabbing on this and start doing this. So he says over here as follows. He writes that the leniency applies only if the house will be left in complete darkness without Shabbat lights. If their electric lights already are on in the house, then you don't ask the guy to light the Shabbat candles benish mashot. Okay? That's what he writes over here. I'll read it to you.
I can give you a
Ulam im or chashmal the look bedira osir loimer legoy lahadlik et hanevot. Okay, so if you have electric lights, so this halacha really doesn't apply today as much because everyone has electric lights on. But technically, you could ask the guy to light the Shabbat candle. You cannot make a bracha on it. Okay.
Ashkenazim, it's the other way around.
What's the other way around?
They say blessing first, and then they do the act.
Okay, so that is a whole different. That's a whole different issue. They first light and then they make the bracha, but they don't see the light. So that's actually the next section. Must one accept Shabbat by lighting? So we're going to go into that next time we learn. We'll get into that details. But for now, this is where we're going to stop over here.